Welcome back. For our top domestic story, we dig deeper into the record of Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh, who's just cleared a major hurdle in the Senate with a final vote expected Saturday, meaning if Republicans whip up enough votes tomorrow at this time, we may have a new Supreme Court justice. So what better time to take a closer look at the judge's record on some critical issues the corporate networks have overlooked? Because while there's been no shortage of Kavanaugh coverage, we here at In Question believe key points from his past have been glossed over. First up, workers' rights. Throughout his career, Kavanaugh has consistently sided with employers in their battles against workers. For example, in 2007, he was accused by dissenting judges of making a decision in the case AFL-CIO v. Gates that would, quote, abolish collective bargaining altogether. What's more, in 2008, he argued that an employer was not required to bargain with a union on the grounds that the workers were undocumented immigrants, in a dissenting opinion. His record led AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka to declare, quote, recent decisions by the court, often the result of a 5-4 vote, have a dramatic impact on the lives of working families and reinforce the importance of the selection of a new justice. Any senator who believes Supreme Court justices should protect the rights of all Americans should reject this nomination and demand a nominee who will protect the rights of working people. But there's more to Kavanaugh than anti-worker rulings. See, Kavanaugh is not just a judge. In fact, between the years of 2001 and 2003, he actually served as Associate White House Counsel for then-President George W. Bush. During that time, his boss, White House counsel Alberto Gonzales, received one of the now infamous torture memos authored by Attorney General John Yoo, which essentially gave the Bush administration permission to use so-called enhanced interrogation techniques on detainees. Kavanaugh claimed to have no knowledge of the Bush administration's illegal torture program. However, some have questioned his innocence, especially when you consider what Bush administration officials themselves had said about Kavanaugh's influential role in the Oval Office. Senior advisor to President Bush, Karl Rove, told the Washington Post that when it came to the White House policy, quote, ultimately the umpire was Brett. Robert Harrow Jr. reports, quote, documents and interviews show that while Kavanaugh was not a policymaker, he was directly involved in helping the White House manage a wide array of sensitive matters, including the war on terror, the treatment of enemy combatants, and warrantless wiretapping. With Kavanaugh's record in question, earlier today I was joined by CIA whistleblower John Kiriakou. All right, John, you actually went to prison for exposing that illegal torture program. You're still the only person who's gone to jail as a result, or for charges relating to that program. Let's listen to how Kavanaugh responded when his alleged role in torture was brought up during his confirmation hearing.
In a 2000 panel discussion at NYU Law School regarding Bush administration anti-terrorism policies, you said the Bush administration went, quote, right up to that legal line to defend the security of the United States, end quote, implying that Bush policies did not cross the legal line. Do you mean to suggest that Bush administration's post-9/11 programs, including the CIA torture program, were legal?
No, Senator, that's not what I was suggesting there, and let me try to provide you an explanation.
Do you buy his answers when it comes to this?
Oh, no, certainly not. You know, the fallacy of this entire program, when the Bush people say that it was legal, is that it was somehow challenged in a court of law and that a court of law deemed it to be legal. That's just simply not true. What happened was the Bush White House went to the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel, OLC, and said, this is what we want to do. We want to start torturing people. Come up with a legal argument that would support it. And then we ended up with the Yoo and Bybee memos. The program was never challenged in a court of law, so to say that it was legal or that they had walked up to some kind of an invisible line is just simply not correct.
And as Associate White House Counsel, should we believe Kavanaugh when he says he had no knowledge of this whatsoever?
No, I can tell you from firsthand experience that he would have had knowledge of it. There was just a handful of people that would have had knowledge of it in advance, and that would be the White House counsel and deputy counsel, the National Security Advisor and Deputy National Security Advisor, the NSC attorneys, and the Justice Department. So he would have been up to his neck in the CIA's torture program.
Well, the mainstream corporate media has covered Kavanaugh endlessly. This issue, though, not so much. I did read a quote from the Washington Post in this intro. We don't usually give them credit here, but they did actually cover this, though the corporate networks on television, I really struggled to find any segments about this aspect of his career. Why do you think that is? Because
Americans and the mainstream media are far more interested in how much beer he can drink and what he did 35 years ago at a random party when he was 17 years old. It's a herd mentality, Anya, in the mainstream media, where they latch onto something that's juicy and fun and interesting, and they ignore the really important issues. The important issue here is we've got a guy who helped to legitimize an illegitimate torture program, and no one is asking him about it.
Well, do you think that the American people underestimate the rate at which civil liberties were eroded and torture programs have been expanded since 9/11?
Absolutely. And you know, Ed Snowden tried to warn people. Tom Drake tried to warn people. I tried to warn people. And people just don't seem to really care. You know, it seems that anytime you tell the American people that you want to take away one of their rights, one of their civil liberties, if there's any complaint at all the government has to do is say, 9/11, we have to withstand, not to withstand, but to disrupt another attack, 9/11, and people just willingly give up their civil liberties. Now here we are 17 years after the 9/11 attacks, and we're still willing to give up those liberties.
It's a really sad reflection on the state of things. Then, John, do you expect him to be confirmed? And if he is, what kind of impact will he have on the court?
I do expect him to be confirmed. I hate to say that. I think it'll be very, very close, 50-50 with Mike Pence breaking the tie, possibly 51-49. I think we're going to see a real lurch to the right on this court, not just because of Judge Kavanaugh, but also because of Neil Gorsuch and his role on the court.
And we didn't want to understate the severity of the accusations or the struggle that I guess Dr. Christine Blasey Ford went through with her testimony, but we did just want to point out the fact that there are major issues here, torture, that have just been completely glossed over by the mainstream media. So we appreciate you, John Kiriakou, CIA whistleblower, coming on to break that all down.
Thanks for having me.
Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out our channel. We hope you enjoyed the video. We have tons of content for you just like this. For more of RT America's one-of-a-kind news and analysis, be sure to subscribe and never stop questioning more.